about you. And I think that's
I
why.
appreciate that, Brett.
Well, it's very fair. It's honest. And I mean, that's why you've been doing this for how many years now?
Well, I mean, I've been on the Senate now since 2013, and it's been, a great tool to bring resources to my community. And the Senate has been working very hard to fight for what is best for the state, and it's great to be part of the legislature of this state of California. We're tapping into the best scientific minds that we have available to us to solve social problems, including the one before us. We need and we have been bringing in the best minds we have in the state of California, which are some of the best people in the world, to help prepare us for this. And California is an international, globally extended state where we have lots of people that travel and come in back and forth and trade, and that exposes us more than probably any other state. But we also have a system of care in the state, and we're taking all the precautions necessary to make sure that this is the safest state for people to live in. In case of a situation like this, we want to ensure that California is the most proactive state of providing a safe environment for its people. And so far, it's going very well. The number of deaths in our state is far below the percentages of the other states per capita. We're a state of 40 million people, yet we haven't had it hasn't affected us the way it has affected New York State and Washington State. And I think that's because that really is owed to the people that we have in the state that are able to react quickly and take the steps necessary to prevent the spread of this and to provide the care necessary for the people that are affected by it.
Senator Hueso, there's another question for you. Who are you?
Sure.
What's your name?
Hello, my name is Crystal Balk. Senator, it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you so much for your words. I know the whole community is up in a roar, and anything to help, we are here. I have a quick question. I've been encountering this. I know a lot of people have been losing their jobs, like you have mentioned, but also one of the biggest fear for people are like healthcare, right? If they should even go into the hospital. Well, obviously, if they're sick, stay home, but there's other people that have other conditions, and if they lost their jobs, there goes healthcare. Is there going to be any charge or anything if they would go, or that's still kind of like on hold as well?
Right now, we're seeing numbers that some of our beds are already filled with people that need medical care. And so that is not an ideal situation for us to begin providing medical care for what we expect will be a large increases of people with the coronavirus. So that's why we are acquiring additional medical facilities, additional space, and additional bed. It's coming at a very large cost, but it's very important that we do that to ensure that we don't that we reduce the loss of life, and if people do need emergency services, that they have somewhere to go. That's why it was important to provide the medical ship, the Mercy, it's off the coast of Los Angeles, because we believe that the spread will happen in larger cities more than in rural areas because of the concentration of not only people, but a concentration of people that travel internationally. So we're seeing now that this is affecting, this is being spread by people locally that don't travel anymore. So we know that this is already affecting every part of our society. So the important thing is that we provide the resources necessary to provide care. If somebody requires some minor medical procedure, they will not be provided that will be postponed. And I think everybody in the healthcare community is working to ensure that only the most immediate cases or those that are considered life-threatening are dealt with through the medical system. Everything else we expect will be postponed. So only those that are necessary to keep people alive and healthy. So All other medical procedures are being postponed. Everybody in the medical community is working to prepare for a large increase of patients to enter the medical system in California.
So you said the National Guard is going to be distributing food and kind of keeping order overall and everything, which makes me feel good. But any idea when the National Guard will be coming into the South Bay County area of San Diego?
We don't know that specifically yet. I'm not. Right now, they're working on gearing up and preparing for right now. So far, fortunately, working with professionals in different nonprofits and our food bank, they have been successfully working to deliver meals. That may become more difficult in the future, so that's where the National Guard is currently preparing for that. I don't know a specific date that they'll get started. I guess it'll be based on the demand, and we'll ramp up as we need. But right now, they're getting organized to be in our community.
We visited the food bank, James Floros, the other day, and the food bank is more than prepared and organized. We were really impressed with. I had never visited there before. I know you have probably many times, but man, they're ready.
They're ready, and we've been working with them, including providing funding for. We also approved a budget amendment on Monday, this past Monday, that was aimed at preparing us for a large increase in need in food and medical care. So that was part of an action that we took on Monday to again prepare people for this emergency. We are looking to operate remotely, and if needed, the legislature will reconvene to allocate resources as we need them. Right now, the governor has been taking action. We gave the governor certain authority to increase allocation of resources in areas that are important to make sure that our state is not bogged down with legislative action. So we have created kind of a state of emergency in the state that gives the governor more authority to act with increased speed at reacting to this problem.
So the other question that comes up, and this is also a big one. Excuse me, got a little frog in my throat. I'm healthy, by the way. My temperature has not gone past 100.4. It's been under. It's been good. It's the border. Everybody that have to, for a long time, they've been traveling back and forth to work and to live, and that's been a very challenging thing for some of the people that in Tijuana as well as San Diego. Can you kind of go over that a little bit for people that maybe are listening that have family over there, or maybe are over there now that can't come back to San Diego for a period of time, depending on what it is they do?
Well, everyone that is a U.S. citizen is being allowed to be repatriated. If you're outside the country, you will be allowed to re-enter, and that is not the concern. But the borders are being closed to non-essential travelers, people that are not part of providing essential services. We have a definition of what essential services are. Largely, it's those people that are helping to provide support for individuals in this situation. It's, our trade is continuing to happen, so people will continue to be able to purchase food and products. The production of food is continuing to happen. Anything that supports that, anything that supports transportation, gas stations, and the transport of people. And of course, anybody that's providing healthcare services and healthcare support services. We have an expanded definition that's available online, and we also have it in our office if anybody has any questions about that. But largely, we're trying to, again, I have to say this very clearly because it's very important, without people going to the extent of having to justify that they're allowed to to be out there in the community. We have to. We hope that people take the most conservative approach at that definition and saying, can people survive, or can people be served without my participation in this? Because the more we get people to stay home, the more that we can limit the spread of this virus. But the border will remain open only to essential travel. And those are, this is a binational community, and we have a lot of healthcare providers that live in Mexico, and we have a lot of people that support our economy that live in Mexico, and that needs to continue. They need to be continued to come and provide those services, because otherwise we would have a very hard time delivering the kind of service that we need to keep people healthy. And the whole point is to prevent the loss of life. So it's a very tight rope that we have to follow, making sure that people do not go out into the community, that we only have those that are essential, that keeping people healthy.
Have you heard any reports or statistics recently about the cases in Mexico, Tijuana, anything of that
Well,
nature?
there are cases. We are hearing reports. There are cases in Mexico. There are cases in Mexicali. There are cases in other parts of Mexico as well. Largely, they are originating in the bigger cities. And in a city like San Diego, we have a fair amount of cases. So we don't know how many people currently are infected that haven't shown any symptoms. And that's why people need to stay home in case they develop symptoms. Then we can assess, how big a problem this really is.
There's another question for you.
Okay, this is my last question for you, Ben. I have been very privileged to have an online business and work from online, so this hasn't greatly affected me. But actually, a friend of mine yesterday called me with the meltdown. She has a very good business, has been privileged in her end as well, but she had to shut down. Her mortgage is about to be due. Is there any way that we're going to have any mortgage freeze or business freeze as far as rent or anything like that anytime soon? I know this is on a lot of people's mind, panicking more about how are you going to pay the bills. I know that right now we're dealing with the whole coronavirus, but I think also this is on people's mind, and the idea of panicking is not what we want. We want them to calm down. So is there anything you can tell us about that?
It is. Most of the calls that we have received aren't necessarily geared around, well, what can I do to help? Mostly it's been a legitimate concern about, people are very concerned about their future, right? What's going to happen to me without an income? What's going to happen to me without food? That has largely manifested itself in what people have started doing. They have gone to supermarkets to hoard certain products, and it's created a difficulty for others to source products. So there is a certain set of panic among some people taking place, but for others, there's a feeling like, oh, nothing's going to happen. This isn't really going to affect me. I can continue to conduct my business as usual. And what we have to do is get everybody to understand that this is serious. If everybody complied, we'll limit the spread. And anything related to the impact on people's lives and the economy and having to pay the rent and pay the bills will be lessened if more people comply with this order now. The idea is if you act now, this will affect the economy less. It could affect us less. Please stay home, because if you don't, the spread will continue and it will devastate our economy. What's happening in Italy is a consequence of people not respecting a stay-at-home order. They issued thousands and thousands of fines on people that were out in the community, going to coffee shops, conducting their business as if nothing was happening. But it has gone from 300 to 400 to 600 deaths per day. That's the consequence of people in Italy not taking it seriously. We don't want that to happen in California